Welcome to our masterclass of Chenin Blanc and Loire Valley. My name is Florian. I will guide you through the next 45 minutes. We're going to have a short introduction and a short movie just to get you into the mood of Chenin Blanc and of Loire. And I think we kick it off right now. Thank you.
The Loire is our wellspring. The multiple identities of our wines reflect its character, free and wild. For 2,000 years, the rich geological characteristics of the land have been absorbed into our know-how. The Loire proves that the volcanic and oceanic terroirs produce different flavors, and that combining them brings out a natural beauty. Contact with it stimulates infinite inspiration. Through the Loire, we have become a bridge between vineyards and landscapes, designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, a bridge between popular and more exclusive estates, between the varying shades of reds, rosés, and whites, between sparkling and sweet wines, between simple and more complex wines. By drawing the riverbanks closer to each other, we produce an immensely rich array of wines. It's important to us to promote this subtle balance with sincerity, because openness to others, the curious and the initiated, is our true nature. The Loire is much more than just our source of inspiration, it is the bedrock of all our creations. By learning every day to adapt and to preserve its environment, we achieve the unique harmony of Loire wines, the wines of a lifetime.
All right. If no one ever has been to Loire Valley, as you have seen in the movie, it's quite nice with a lot of castles, some wines, and like everywhere in France, you can have good food with the wines. But just to know where we are or where we will taste the wines from. Chenin Blanc, so mainly we will be here in Anjou-Saumur. And it's also born in the Touraine Valley, but we will focus on Anjou and Saumur. And we provided a small overlook about the type of salt types we will have. And we will have it on the next slide, because Loire Valley is quite various in soils. And today we will focus in Anjou and Saumur on these schist and sandstone soils, or tuffeau, we know it as chalk. And because that's a key point for Chenin, because Chenin might be one of the most interesting grape varieties beside of Riesling, maybe Chardonnay. We could call some more, but these three is Silvaner in Germany possible, where you can have the most extraction from the soil and more, let's say, differences between the soil type. On the next slide, we will head to the grape itself. Because Chenin, a little more deep dive into. We're in Saumur and Chenin, which is normally also known for its reds, but Chenin is around here. We will focus on the dry styles. There are some sweet styles, of course, also. We will talk about this later on. But first, this is from big to small, where we will go to. And Chenin Blanc, first thing is, of course, always history. And history is, I don't know who read Gargantua, I didn't, but I saw that it was first mentioned there as Pinot d'Anjou, or Plant d'Anjou. And the birth itself, it's from 1936, so it was really also one of the first AOCs which was created. And the other synonyms, because France is known for Chenin Blanc. Everyone heard about it, but the most plantings are in South Africa. So Steen is normally always very, very common. Different kind of expression, but also Chenin can have different kind of expressions. We will have that later on. And then what today is sometimes heard is Pinot Vert, because in Argentina is quite I think it's 3,000 hectares of Chenin Blanc. And Albio, Australia is growing but only in Chenin Blanc so far. I think it's like 1,500 hectares so far. All this is also interesting key points. So Chenin is growing. We have some Chenin in Germany, but it's mainly in Baden or Pfalz. Not really necessary numbers for that, but can be interesting. On the next slide, we will go for the deep dive. I talked about South Africa. We're in France, United States, Argentina. It's 13th worldwide grape variety planted. It's maybe because of it's not an easy grape for ripening and not an easy grape for the winemakers. And when we break it down to the next numbers, um, you will see really amount, because in France it's 16th most planted. It's just 4% of the French grapevine. And I just thought about, because on our wine list where we have over 4,000 different references, I have maybe 12 or 13 French Chenin Blancs, and it's mainly only from two producers. Everyone knows these, so I don't think I need to mention. Um, but there's much more to explore there. And but the grape itself, I mean, of course, we have some production dates, how many hectoliters and how many is produced by regions, and that might be interesting. That main part is sparkling wines, because we have a lot of acidity in the grape itself, so it makes absolutely sense to do that. Sweet wines are great because acidity always helps. Sweet wine is a different kind of thing actually in the actual wine area, and dry wines is what we normally drink the most, or what our clients are supposed to have. And here we go into the next slide, where we see a full mature Chenin Blanc, and one we want to have for sweet wine, of course, because it's affected to botrytis, absolutely. And so in certain years, which are not that easy in ripening because they ripe early, or also flower early, ripe late, ideal for sweet wines. But when the year is not good, or you have different kind of challenges, the grape is one of the first to get mold or affected to something. So really producing high classic and very good dry wines in a lot of amount, it's difficult. But when you have kind of a cool climate, which is different actually in the Loire Valley because it changes a lot, you can have adorable wines for it. We will see that later on when we go in the ripening for Vouvray especially. All right. Like a small classification, because when we talk about blind tasting or how to recognize Chenin, the body is always quite medium. The acidity I mentioned is high, and it's quite similar to Riesling. Sweetness can be from dry to sweet, and yeah, the kind of typical flavors. You're more in a orange flavor or papaya, some yellow apple, but or more the apple is more malt or very ripe. Even if they are quite unripe, from the grapes perspective, you have these quite deep aged aromas in the wine. And even when I talk about recognition in wine tasting, sometimes you have this wet wool or this kind of like orange tangerine flavor, which is already kind of bitter. But in great dry Chenins, you can have it like that. Yeah. So really broad various factors. And that's also maybe one thing why the grape is not that famous overall, because it's not that pleasant at the first time for everyone, because high acidity, something like, yeah, these dumb flavors, but can have a high expression of it when it gets some aging. All right. And after the profile, we of course listed some PDOs. I think some of the most famous, where I can also call myself to have it on, on the list, is Collet de Serran, or Savignier, but also Crémant de Loire is absolutely stunning in terms of quality. And we are a sweet wine country in Germany, and sweet wines are all over the world, and some more famous than others. But sweet wines from Loire Valley really can go for a decade, and it's not like that these wines cost a lot of money. It's still very pleasant to have a look there when you search for great sweet wines like Catechaume or Coteau du Léon, and you have like very good value for money. And responsible is Chenin Blanc. Vouvray we will take later on, the appellation, which can do like everything from sparkling to dry to off dry and sweet wines. In terms of the largest PDOs, Vouvray is the one that maybe every one of us already tasted or had in the glass. Coteau du Léon, a famous sweet wine appellation, and Saumur, we will talk about later on. And the rest is more like, it's going really to be smaller, really specific, and one thing that also we did not mention here. It's not like it's only about big producers. There are a lot of small producers who are doing their own thing, starting like a not like a new revolution, but starting to think that the quality of Chenin Blanc should be recognized more, and sometimes you can express it better when you have just smaller production. And that's it about our small introduction about Chenin and Loire. And now we will go into the wines because that's what we're here for. We want to taste some wines, compare it maybe. So we will pour the first three wines. We will always pour from left to right so that no one gets lost. And for the first two wines, because it's like we're doing a little bridge, I would say. Yeah, the first two wines are from Anjou, and the very first we have, it's a more a fresh way, because in Anjou, when we talk about soil, we're again with schist, and schist is this kind of black soil which is responsible for wines with intensity, but also decent acidity. The wines are sometimes in the use a little bit, how to say, a little bit closed. Yeah? In this term from here, where we have the La Croisée de Chenin from the Domaine de Montillier, with 12% alcohol, which is for today's times sometimes an exception, because Chenin Blanc tends to can have loads of alcohol. We will see this in the other slides. But the wine should be balanced. The wine should be always have this possibility to show its aging potential on one side. But this one is, in my opinion, more for the consuming, for the fresh style of Chenin, because there is one point which we can't fit in 45 minutes, and that's doing a food and wine pairing. Because the Domaine de Montillier, the Chenin we have here, is more elegant. You can have it to simple starters, or just for which Loire is also famous for. You have some goat cheese and just some honey. And I talked about this kind of recognition, and of course you have this orange peel, orange flavors, quite intense, and you have these loads of acidity in the end. And I know that wet wool is not a very positive aroma, but in my opinion, when you always have this in this Chenin, after normally half a year, one year of aging, it gets away and it transforms into like a tangerine liquor flavor. Not that it gets sweet, but it turns a little bit more in a better aspect. And the second wine we just put beside, because like I told before, we will have like a little comparison with each pair. And the Famille Denis, who is responsible for the second wine, this Andosieux. It's also from schist. It's 100% Chenin. The difference is the first wine we have, it's just a short aging on the lees. The second wine is aging for 15 to 18 months in barrels or small oak barrels. And it's a different expression of Chenin, because that's really a very positive thing. You can do this, like I told you in the beginning, with Riesling and Chardonnay. Sometimes maybe Riesling doesn't excel that much in new oak, but when you have classic Riesling from Rheingau or Mosel, you have old oak vats or old vats. So oak is always a little bit there. But Chenin reacts better to new oak, because when you have Chenin with new oak or used oak barrels in smaller size, you get more intensity, you get more flavor, and the food opinion gets very, very broad. And while the second one is poured, I might have the winemaker with me, because he's waiting for his entrance. Because he's responsible for the wine. You have it here at the fair also. And well, it would be nice just to hear a few sentences about your idea of Chenin and your idea about this wine, and how is your idea of the future of Chenin? That might be also interesting thinking about that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Florian. C'est bon, non? You're on me? Okay. So thank you, Florian, for the masterclass, and hello, everyone. So I'm Vincent Denis. I'm wine grower at the Famille Denis Winery, and I'm representing Anjou Blanc AOC and Fan de Chenin, the association Fan de Chenin. So I'm here to introduce you about Anjou, Chenin of Anjou, which is grow in perfect terroir and climate. And we can do wine, dry wine and sweet wine in Anjou with great balance between freshness and acidity. So about Anjou Blanc appellation, at the moment, the National Institute of Origin is studying our request for recognition 9 crus on the appellation. This cruise will highlight the region's finest terroir, focusing on areas with the best condition of production for the premium Chenin. So we adopt on the appellation new rules for this cruise. So wines with hand picking and in specific area with lower yields and minimum of 12 months of aging to recognize what the Anjou Blanc can do on the great soil and great terroir. So let me just introduce the Anjou Blanc you tried. So it's from the area Mont Chenin, so one of the 9 crew we are looking for. And this is the 2022 hand picking with yellow grapes without botrytis, just to get the powerful of the Chenin on quartz schist soil. And this is aging 16 months on 50 new oak barrels and 51 year barrel. So we just want to put Anjou Blanc on the top Chenin Blanc on the world because we are a great climate, great terroir. So we just have to make the great wine with.
Thank you, Denis. Did everyone understand? Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, I would connect it. And yeah, because I think really the idea of Anjou, we have the light version, we have the more full-bodied food pairing version, gastronomic version, however you will call it, and high alcohol doesn't need to be a bad thing when we talk about Chenin Blanc. Yeah. So this we need to put in our pocket. It only need to be balanced, and I think you did a great job with this wine. So thank you here. And after the schist, because we had this short introduction about the soils. It's clay, clay limestone. Although, I mean, when you have clay or limestone around, normally winemaking is not far. It happens often in the world. But in Saumur, where the 2 next wines will be from, will be focused on these. All right, because this is what we have on the glass now. It's from the Vignoble et Denis, the Secret des Chefs. And same, a little bit from the idea from the first wine from Anjou. It's a wine for easy drinking, uncomplicated things. So the all-day Chenin, with just 11% of alcohol, it's really like well, it's not low carb, but it's a wine which you should enjoy the whole bottle because you need to drink a second one. But the flavor intensity is different. When we look back on the schists, the flavors were much more, this dense intensity. And here we also have this kind of fruit-driven flavors, where more also melon and pear and this I spoke about this yellow apple, which can change in various ripening conditions, which is absolutely there. And this like a little bit. When I taste South African Chenin Blanc, I often talk about that the wines are quite dirty. And this dirty, or like a little bit dirty, dusty, aromatic, I often find in Saumur. And Saumur Here is, yeah, intense, fruity, easy drinking style. But also, when you didn't feel the acidity so far, here you can feel the acidity. And it's not a green acidity, it's lively, it's absolutely like tendering your tongue and your throat. So it makes you thirsty, which is the sense of easy drinking Chenin. And to compare now this Saumur to the other one, I would ask you already to empty your first two glasses, that we can go for the next wines. Because the Saumur, we can go for the next for wine number 4 and 5. And because Saumur, in my opinion, you find it sometimes on wine lists just for the entrance level. There are some Saumurs, and I need to call myself wizard, which are much higher in quality, but often I just have the entry level and that's it, because I think that's more than enough. And when I want to have more richer style, I go to Louvre or probably already to South Africa. But the second Saumur we will have now, it's from the domain La Pérouche. Yeah, La Pérouche. Le Rôtissant, it will be already again 100% Chenin Blanc, because that's the thing we're talking about. And here we have 6 months in steel vats, and it should be 4 in oak barrels. I think there is 1.0 enough, because or too much, because otherwise, yeah, we would not have the 2023 vintage now, and no one knows how 40 months in oak can be quite hard. But this small, you need to see it like salt and pepper when you use an oak barrel in a wine. Some wines can transport it quite well, and Chenin, with this small piece of oak, just transfers the wine in a deeper, richer, and also more complex style. Yeah, from this very easy drinking opinion on wine number 3, we go on this complex one on wine number 4. Which, and I need to say, because I had the wines at home for the tasting, and of course we now have the wines opened quite freshly, and they're coming directly from the fridge. We let them stand outside a little bit. When we talk about temperature in wine, we don't need to talk about glasses today, but we can talk about the temperature. And the temperature is really, when I have this wine with 12, 14 degrees and opened already 1-2 hours, the wine really evolved, because I tasted these wines over 3 days, and it got more complex. You have a little bit, sometimes a little hint of butterness, and this was really one of the wines that was most surprised. I mean, wine number 3 you drink right away, and but wine number 4, this really evolved with air. And I would also pronounce, when I taste a wine over 3 days, that you have some aging possibility there. You don't need to go too far always. So when you say, okay, it's about 3 to 5 years, and then you could maybe have a look if it makes more to 5 to 10 years. It can be, but 3 to 5 years of aging is already good enough. And yeah, and so also when the wine is more intense, more full-bodied, you can take, of course, courses which are more into fat, or maybe like cream and so on. I also find like a classic mushroom sauce, and even I would not go too far to say that truffle is already a thing, but you can think about more intense dishes. So it makes the thing more various. Maybe veal, that could be an option. Is the difference between schist and clay so far tasteable for everyone? Is there a little difference? Hope so. Um, because the third pair we will do will be again, yeah, like it will more be a mixture from soils, but it will be more about the identity of region. because on wine number 5 and 6 we will go to Vouvray. And in my opinion, when I talk about wine and I have the possibility to talk about wine who can age, I always say there should be some wines with it where we not only drink them young, there should be at least, and we have one opinion there, which will be in glass number 6. So when you empty your third glass, we can pour the final wine, because we all taste wines a lot, and sometimes we say, okay, this has a great opinion. I think the wine can definitely go for 3, 5, or 5 to 10 years. Or it's a great wine and can go even longer. Does everybody store it itself in its gastronomy or its trade? Normally not. Some people are crazy and do that. Are the winemakers doing it? Sometimes, but not everyone is crazy enough. And the other thing about not being crazy enough is, do you believe yourself that the wine can keep that long? Because it's always an investment. And with Vouvray, which might have the best aging possibility in Loire Valley when it's about Chenin, maybe beside, we talk about Collet de Serron or Savagnier, Rochemois, you can go much further, but Vouvray has definitely different styles of dry, of sweet, and they should always do the test. Because I always take the example of a German GG Riesling. I don't think everyone believed around 2000 that some wines can still be not just drinkable today, or are just some of the great wines you ever had. And the same is a little bit with Loire Vouvray. There are some winemakers who really who had the idea, okay, I store some wines and I give them into the market from time to time, and not only sweet, also dry. But on wine number 5, we're in Louvre now. It's clay. You find, of course, a lot of Tuffeau also there, but this wine is originally from clay. It's an organic wine. It's named Le Portail 2020 vintage, and the domain Champalou is a winery which is quite into balanced wines, because when we stick our nose into here, all these dense notes are a little bit flowerish. We have much more this apricot, orange peel, tangerine flavors. So quite, I don't want to say fruity side, because this wine is not fruity. It's fruity, flowerish, balanced. It's a little bit like minty flavors also. When you have it, that's the palate. It's absolutely balanced. The acidity is lively. It's fresh. You have a little bit of like these bitter tones, but these bitter tones are more helping the wine to go forward. And you feel that, okay, I can take this wine now, combine it to a dish. Maybe I also would go here when you have a classic duck breast and put some orange sauce. Normally you take red wine, but Chenin with high amount of acidity could work there. And also the kitchen today with a lot of vegetarian or vegan dishes, when you go into pastinacs or beetroots, it doesn't need to be always the red beetroot, just the regular roots. You're very, very on the Chenin Blanc side, because the wines are fruity, have a kind of herbiness also in the aftertaste. And this is really a wine you can have it now or drink it in the next decades, and it's also a very, very plus on your wine list if you are in gastronomic, because these wines really excel after some time, and you don't need to worry that the wine is gone after 5 years. It will please you more than it will give damage on the wine list. Absolutely. So there is no stress behind that. And I think we're going for the 6th wine already. Because now we're going to do a deep dive into aging possibility. Because as I already mentioned, Vouvray is sure one of the appellations where aging should be normal or can be normal. And the wine we have now will be from the domain Bourguignon d'Orléans, the L'Indigène, and it's a dry Vouvray style, of course, Chenin. Clay and limestone is the base, and the vintage will be 2008. And we saw these grapes, which can be quite affected to botrytis. So botrytis in dry wines is normally not a very good idea. We did this in Germany a lot, and they did it at the Loire. They tend to do no botrytis in the wines because then the wines get quite broad and not that accessible. When I want to have sweet wines, yes. So you have this absolutely top ripe berries. 2008 was one of the very, very good vintages at Vouvray. And these flavors where we're talking about this orange tangerine, this yellow mulled apple, it gets now very rich. Now the wine has no sweetness. The wine's dry, but it's absolutely rich wine, which of course, because of the alcohol, tends to be quite a full-bodied wine, which of course, some guests would maybe think, oh, this wine could have a little bit of residual sugar, but it's really just the glycerin of the alcohol, which is running through the throat. And of course, when we are in ripening, some honey flavors added to it, some also this, not like sweetbread, but I think a little bit of game flavors. Wine, when it ages and it's aged well, should always have a very not only a very good color, it should shine. When it's not shining and looks like sherry, it should be sherry. When it's not sherry, then you should have maybe drunken this wine way earlier. But the shines and flavors and also the kind of greenish amounts you see in the color really helps you to identify that you have a very lively wine. And the flavors are very fruity, very intense, and you don't need to age your top Chenin always for 10, 15, 20 years. But this is a very good example how far you can go. And I would recommend you, when you have this wine on the list, put it to the perfect dish. Maybe also some cheese, kind of also like you can maybe also go with a Comté with that, or aged Chaours, possible. But really combine it with things you love, and you could age it maybe for 5 or 10 years more. Not necessary, but wine is not bitter or not unbalanced already, and these overripe aromas, which with Chenin normally like it's these dense flavors, and this wet wool comes back in a very intense way. So like we had these dense flavors at wine number 1, and when you age this wine for 5 to 6 years, it may be too long, because then you get the whole cutback of this wet wool flavor. That's the 2008 right here. It's perfect to drink. It's aged for 12 months in oak barrels, so yeah, a little bit of salt and pepper added to it, because if you would just do it in a steel tank like that, probably not possible, but it's more about the winemaker's idea, what you want to do there or not. And yeah, we're very good in time. So our rally about Chenin Blanc and different appellations of Loire Valley is nearly to the end, but as we have a little bit more time, maybe there are some questions or some ideas, or your maybe, I don't know, your expressions or your life happenings with Chenin Blanc. This tasting does not need to change your life, but it should maybe help you to get more into the idea of Chenin Blanc from Loire Valley. Again, maybe because there are a lot of producers here at the fair also who have very interesting wines. Of course, a lot to have that. But Chenin Blanc is really like a hidden gem in Saumur, Anjou, and especially Vouvray. So if you got one more point out of that, I'm very happy that I could have helped you with that and shared my experience. Or and you need to say Chenin Blanc is maybe like a secret passion for me, because when you normally would ask me or have a look on my wine list, you don't see like Chenin. But as I'm a big fan of Riesling, Chenin Blanc was always near beside to taste, because the possibilities to have great wines with Chenin is really great. So thank you for the audience so far. But yeah, Emma has the microphone if everyone wants to add some questions or however. It's still Sunday morning, so right. Uh, oh yeah, there's a question over there. Sorry.
Could you please say it again? What is the main?
Yeah, just ask.
It's in the ears. Yeah, you have to put your helmets on.
Ah.
Yes.
Could you please say it again? What is the main aroma of second wine?
Okay. There was a question about the main aroma of second wine. Second wine, just need to take a look back. We were at the Anjou. So we're here. What Vincent was presenting us. So the main aroma here, in my opinion, was this yellow apple, but this yellow mulled apple. So when you have it like freshly picked and leave it on your heating for one day, then you get a little expressed yellow apple flavor. And this is not too far. This is sometimes just right. And this is, in my opinion, one identifier for Chenin. And here, maybe also with the little bit of oak aging the wine has, a little bit more intense in there. There's this yellow apple, and then in the end, some tangerine, some orange flavors, but only quite dense, and maybe just like having a slice of orange peeled there. Any other questions or meanings?
Concerning the second wine, Mr.
Oh,
Is it
ich komme
ready?
einfach zu Ihnen, das ist einfacher.
Mr. Dini, he talked about the 9 crews they
Yeah.
now is working about.
Yeah.
Do these crews exist already, or are they elaborate?
No, not yet. So the wine was the question was also about wine number 2 because Vincent was talking about the cruise which will be established. There's a kind of classification system going on in different plots of Loire Valley, and in Anjou, especially, they will establish 9 crews. They are not officially PDOs yet, but they say they are in progress, and the progress, well, can take 2-3 years. It can take 3-5 years or even more, because when you're like going from a regional to a village and then to a cruise status, you really need to provide that the wines from this special crew have this high quality, and normally in a participation of minimum 10 vintages to have this reputation. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on where the winemakers want to establish their own crews, because the smaller the vineyard or the smaller the cruise, the higher should be the quality, and that's the idea behind that. Yeah. So,
You told us that Fouvray has really lots of possibilities in styles.
yeah.
Do you also have other area from Loire which is interesting next to Fouvray?
Yeah. Okay, so the question was if there's any other region in Vouvray who has also these interesting kind of styles like Vouvray, or this Chenin thing. In my opinion, actually, what's very, very interesting from the last 1 to 3 years tasting is Sancerre, but Sancerre Rouge, because it's getting slightly warmer. It's not always good for Sauvignon Blanc, so the style of Sancerre is changing. And I think the most improvement actually are the Pinot Noirs from Sancerre. So they really taste like, a little bit like, you could not compare it directly to old style Burgundy, but the quality of Pinot Noir really increased, and they have also a rich style of soils. So Sancerre Rouge probably. And one personal thing that I tasted the recent 3 to 5 years, I never sold it in the restaurant because no one wants to buy it in Germany. It's a different styles of Melody de Bourgogne. So this is absolutely crazy what you can have there in this cruise. But yeah, I never had it on the list. It was just a personal thing because it's for me quite underrated, but very hard to sell in Germany. Right. Oh, I think we managed quite well, and if there are not any more questions, have a nice fair, and see you maybe afterwards. Talk a little bit about Cremant, because the next task will be currywurst with curly. So enjoy. Thank you.